Alright, so after putting a lot of time into Payday 3 and really testing the Skills 2.0 system in loud co-op matches, I started to notice something. Some skills sound amazing when you read them, but when you actually bring them into a real heist with 3 other players, non-stop SWAT waves, dozers pushing in, and chaos everywhere, they barely make a difference. So in this video, I'm going over the 5 worst skills for loud co-op in Payday 3. Not because they're completely useless, but because they're way too situational, inconsistent, or just outclassed by better options. This way, you don't waste your skill points on stuff that sounds cool, but doesn't help when the assault hits. Look folks, it's your host, the best gamer of all time, so if you actually like this type of content, make sure you leave a like, make sure you leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe. And not only that, also, we do have a membership thing going on right now. Let me tell you, man, this is some good stuff right now, some good favorite membership videos. Okay, everybody, let's just get into this. Alright, so quick note before we start, the list is based on loud gameplay, co-op with full squad, higher difficulty heists, which is, let's be honest here, like majority of players play high difficulty, probably the max difficulty, because it's honestly this game is way too easy a lot of the time. The real survival situations, not theory crafting, so situations that happen very commonly. Some of these skills might be fine in stealth or very specific builds, but for the average loud player trying to survive waves and support the team, these just don't give enough value. Alright, starting off with number 5, and this one actually barely made the list, which is actually starting off with Head Guard. Now, this skill revolves around landing headshots to trigger armor-related benefits, and look, on paper, that does sound perfect. Payday is a shooter. Headshots are common. Easy value, right? In loud co-op, you are constantly being shot from multiple angles. Shields are pushing, cloakers are flanking, dozers are pressuring the front. You're not always in a clean position where you can like calmly line up those headshots. But another thing to point out too is that, let's say that you're with, a group of 3 other players, which is most likely what I'm referring to. Everyone's going to be aiming headshots. Everyone's going to be going out there and trying to get all those headshots because it's just like a thing that we do. So you actually might not even get value because so many people are aiming the headshots. And also it does depend on what weapon you're using, because sometimes if you're actually using a machine gun, the last bullet has to be the one to aim for the head. Now, I know maybe some people can correct me if I'm wrong with this, but it does depend on the weapon. Like obviously if you're using a shotgun, maybe it does count and the head guard can actually come into effect there. But here's the real issue though that I do want to actually mention, which is when your armor is actually breaking and you're in danger, you're usually sprinting to cover, reloading, reviving a teammate, getting staggered by gunfire. You're not standing there farming precise headshots to activate a conditional armor benefit. Compare that to skills that give you flat damage resistance, armor sustain, or healing over time. Those work whether you're hitting headshots or not. That consistency is what keeps you alive. So Head Guard isn't terrible, and I know there's some people that can make the case that it shouldn't be on this list, but I'm just saying it could be unreliable when things get messy, and Payday loud gets messy fast. Next one is Locksmith. This is one of those skills that feels like it belongs in stealth or slower paced gameplay, not loud co-op. In loud matches, most objectives don't revolve around quietly picking locks. Doors get blown open. Teammates, if the objective is, calls for it, people are going to be, putting down drills. Objectives get brute force. The pace is just too fast for this skill to matter consistently. Now, there are some missions out there that might help you out. Like, they're missions where, like, you are on the truck, you're on the highway. I forgot what the mission's called. Don't forget, I'm sorry, guys. But there is that mission out there where you're picking lock saves. Obviously, maybe that can help you out, but it's very situational. So, majority of the missions that you're actually going to be playing don't really require Locksmith. You might save a few seconds here and there, but you're spending skill points for convenience instead of survivability or damage output. And in higher difficulties, every skill point really needs to help you stay alive, kill faster, or support teammates. Locksmith doesn't really do any of that once the shooting starts. It's a quote-unquote nice to have, not a need to have. And those are the first skills you're going to cut in a serious co-op build. The next one coming up is actually Artificial Ally. Now let's talk about Artificial Ally, the turret focus skill. Turrets are cool, and actually, matter of fact, there's a lot of builds out there that people talk about artificial ally. So if you're actually doing a complete turret build, absolutely, you could absolutely do this. This is actually pretty good. Especially, I do like the ace version of it, because in the ace, it actually does, give me a second, let me pull that up real quick, which is that sentry turrets can now rotate a full 360 degrees. This is pretty good. I mean, I personally, I really like that. That's actually very nice. So, but in practice, turrets in Loud Payday 3 have problems. They get destroyed fast. Enemies probably don't always funnel into them. They don't scale as well as player damage. You can't always place them in perfect spots during chaos. So a skill that buffs turrets ends up being a skill that only matters when your turret is alive, it's placed well, enemies are actually walking into its line of fire. Like I said though, the first part of the skill, actually I don't think I said this, which is basically heisters can receive 10% of ammo pickup for every second they stand within 5 meters of your sentry turret. There is a 1% chance that this pickup will restore a throwable. So you actually have to be right next to the turret to actually get some value out of it. So, you know, if you're doing cook-off, that is actually another thing too, because if you're doing cook-off, you can actually totally position yourself to actually camp out and actually stand near the turret. That way you're getting tons and tons of value out of it. But there's just a lot of conditions for that. So meanwhile, you could spend the points on skills that always boost your gun damage, armor sustain, or team utility, which is actually, in my opinion, a little bit better. But when a skill depends on a deployable that might be gone in 10 seconds, and also, like I said, it has to be placed well, it just doesn't compete. Coming near the bottom is Strong Arm. This skill revolves around using throwables while unmasked. And that is a key problem right there. Let's actually read it a little bit right here, which is that you can use throwables while unmasked. This is considered an illegal action. The ace is to reduce the movement penalty from carrying heavy bags and items. That's one that might be a little bit better with the ace. It's fine, but you have to get the bad skill first, which is that you have to use throwables while unmasked. What? It's the most like stupidest skill in my opinion. I actually don't really understand it. In loud co-op, you're masked up like almost the entire heist. So once things go loud, that part of the skill is basically stops existing. So even the throwable side of it isn't strong enough to build around. Throwables are useful, yes, but there's supplements to your build, not the core of it. And not only that, you can only the skill only is value when you're unmasked. Like, what? I don't understand this. So unless someone could tell me like, whoa, this would be a cool thing to do, which I guess so. I guess you could do like a throwing knife or something. But when you compare the skill that, you know, skills that really boost up, like the weapon damage, the improved reload speed, the restore armor, heal teammates, something like that in that effect, Strong Arm just feels like it's focusing on a tiny slice of gameplay instead of the consistent, constant, the most dramatic, the most, you know, chaos thing, which is basically the gunfights you're actually in. So I don't really think this Strong Arm is actually really good right now. So I think it's probably a really bad skill in my opinion. And the most underwhelming skill for loud co-op has to be the insurance plan. This one gives you damage reduction based on tied hostages. Alright, which does sound clever. It does, until you think about how loud the heist actually plays out. Now, yes, there's some missions out there that are really good. Like, for example, if you're talking about the nightclub one, obviously you're going to get a lot of value to it, but you have to play that mission. If you're talking about cookout, yeah, that mission's, it's pretty much going to be useless. It's not really going to help you out. There's like, what, like two like hostages, I believe. There's also this whole thing too with the meta, which is basically like when you have hostages, you usually just trade them out anyways. You're trading them out because like you actually really want to get the resources and get those materials and get all that stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to be doing that. So if you're playing with like 3 other people, their chances are they're going to be doing that, giving away the hostages and actually just trading them out. And like I said, depends on the mission. It depends on like if people are going to be, if they're running out of resources, maybe they need ammo, which is highly unlikely, but maybe they need ammo, or most commonly maybe they need armor or need health. So these type of things right here, like it doesn't really, it's not that great in my opinion. And also, you know, teammates accidentally kill them and enemies usually free them all the time too, or you just don't have time to manage them, because if the enemies are freeing them, which is the cops, right, you're probably like doing the objective, so you're not keeping your eyes out on the hostages. So there's also that. The thing is too, the reason why I'm being so critical about this skill is because this skill is actually on tier 4. So if you're actually doing that insurance plan tier 4 and matching that up, like maybe perhaps with Ricochet, or maybe you're matching that up with Premium Bag, which I do find, well, actually Premium Bag is okay, I guess, because we don't really use ammo bags really at all. But, you know, if you're matching it with Ricochet though, it's just like, okay, why am I going to go for the skill, which is insurance plan? It has to be you have to be very particular what mission you're going to play on that. So your damage reduction really ends up depending on something you can't reliably control in the middle of a firefight. And when the assault wave hits hard, dozers are pushing, snipers up, grenaders everywhere, that's exactly when you need the damage resistance. So not sometimes resistance, not if hostages are alive resistance, you need it always. So that inconsistency is what makes this skill fall apart in real matches. Well, folks, the real lesson here, the common theme with all these skills is inconsistency. They rely on specific situations, rare conditions, other mechanics just work perfectly. But strong co-op builds are built around guaranteed value. Skills that always increase survivability, always boost up damage, always help out the team. Those are the ones that carry you through that chaotic assault. So if you've been running any of these and wondering why your build feels weak in loud matches, this must be why. Again, none of these are completely useless. They're just outclassed and too situational for most co-op loud builds. If you want, I can make a follow-up video on the 5 best skills for co-op loud so you know exactly what to prioritize. And let me know in the comments, what skill did you think would be good but ended up being disappointing. Anyways, folks, best gamer of all time, signing off.